No DQ Galaxy, we are live for a recap of WWE Elimination Chamber 2024. It is, as I talk right this moment, 8:36 a.m. Eastern Time in the morning. This might be the earliest live stream I've ever done. I'm trying to remember what I did for the 2018 Super Showdown in Australia. That was so long ago, I forgot if I did a live stream or not, but that was Australian time, very early in the morning, much like this. But thank you to everybody watching live. I know there's not a lot of you because most people tend to sleep in on Saturday. But if you're here live, thank you for that. And if you're watching on demand, I appreciate you tuning in as well. Now, let's get to this Chamber show, talk about the matches. We did have a kickoff. Of all the shows to have a kickoff, it had to be this one, right? So I was up 4 a.m. Eastern. Around 4:40 Eastern, we had the kickoff match for the women's tag team titles, impromptu match that was set up during the press event on Friday. We had the Kabuki Warriors defending their titles against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. It was your average kickoff match. It was done to basically get Indy Hartwell on the card in her home country. Basic tag team match, house show quality match. It was fine. Champions retained. Candice was the one that got pinned. No surprise. Indy did get a standing ovation from the fans. It was cool that she got her moment, but that's pretty much all this was. Now, we kicked off the main card with the women's Elimination Chamber match. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair versus Liv Morgan versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi versus Raquel Gonzalez. I'm going to call her Raquel Gonzalez again because Triple H did during the press event. I'm not even sure why they changed her name in the first place. So she's Raquel Gonzalez as far as I'm concerned. Now, we had Becky and Naomi starting off the match. The most noteworthy thing about this match, in my opinion, was Tiffany Stratton. She was the third person to come into the match, and she got a massive reaction. Huge babyface pop for her. Now, she was technically the only heel in this match, but she was maybe the most over person in this entire match. She got in a lot of offense. WWE clearly sees some major things in her. You had Naomi, who was the first person eliminated. I thought it was going to be Tiffany, but it was Naomi who was the first person out. Naomi did get in some big moves, and she jumped off the pod with a blockbuster onto Liv, but then Tiffany rolled her up and got the 1, 2, 3. Tiffany gets a win, and then Raquel came in. Raquel did her power moves. She was taking control. She swung Tiffany into the chamber wall, suplexed Liv into it. Then we had Bianca Belair coming in as the final entrant. Raquel got laid out on the top rope, and Liv jumped off the pod with a senton. And then Tiffany came off the pod with a swanton onto like 4 people that were standing on the chamber platform. And the crowd started chanting, "This is awesome." But then all good things must come to an end. Tiffany got pinned by Liv Morgan, and the crowd was not happy about this. We have a couple of super chats here, so I'll get to those real quick. First up, shout out to TJS, who sent in a $5 super chat. He says, no sleep for me yet. Listening to this recap while doing work. I should have finished yesterday. What's for breakfast? Are you a biscuits and gravy fan? I had a couple pieces of rye bread and one of those chocolate cookie sandwiches. Belvita, I think, is the brand. That was my breakfast when I woke up. I hope to have something more substantial to eat in a few moments here once we get finished up with this recap. But yeah, I got about 5 or 6 hours of sleep before this, but that's the grind here. Now we all know in the United States what it's like to be in other countries when they have to either stay up late or get up really early to watch a wrestling event. Now we know. Shanti is cooler than you sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Shanti. Says, it's 3:38 a.m. Hawaiian time. In case I knock out during the stream, I will be watching this whether it's live or on demand. P.S. What's with Kevin Owens and the koala? Well, they were in Australia, and koalas are very common in Australia. That's their animal. It's like one of their signature animals. Them and the kangaroos. You know, those animals are all over the place in Australia. So if you go to Australia, you definitely have to come into contact with one of them. TJS, I don't like gravy. I like biscuits, but I'm not a gravy person. He's probably going to be shocked by that revelation. And Sean, yes, I did watch the show live. Got to do the recap. I mean, I could have cheated and started later and fast forwarded through stuff, but I feel in order to do a proper and fair review of the show, I had to watch it start to finish live. And that's what I do for Raw, too. I don't cheat. For those of you wondering, when I do these recaps, do I just start halfway through and fast forward? I do not do that. I watch the entire show from start to finish, including the commercials, so I can give you guys the most fair review possible. Anyways, let's get back to this chamber match. Raquel got in some big moves. She powerbombed Becky and Liv at the same time, but then she got pinned. Bianca picked her up, got her with the KOD, and eliminated Raquel. So we had the final three at this point: Becky, Bianca, and Liv Morgan. Liv rolled up Bianca to pin her, and then Becky immediately pinned Liv with a manhandle slam and got the win. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. Very predictable, though. We all knew Becky was winning this match. I put up a poll just before the match on X. 70% of the voters thought that Becky was going to win. And sometimes predictability is not a negative if something is obvious. Like if the story is told well, then it doesn't really matter all that much. With wrestling, you kind of like to see some swerves and curveballs, though. In this case, it was what it needed to be. Set up Becky Lynch. All the women looked good. So it was solid. I did enjoy the match. And it was maybe top 3 women's elimination chamber matches. It was definitely on the higher tier of the women's chamber matches up to this point, in my opinion. Next up, we had Judgment Day. Finn Bálor and Damian Priest defending their tag team titles against the Banana Republic, or excuse me, the New Catch Republic, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. I'm not a fan of that name. I just think of Banana Republic anytime I hear that name. Another good match here. Predictable. What you would expect. You had Dominic Mysterio out there, and they were chanting Dominic's a wanker. So that was entertaining. And good stuff here. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne looked impressive. You had Tyler Bate doing a long airplane spin. Crowd loved that. It's basically Cesaro's big swing, although the airplane spin has been around for decades. I mean, man, the airplane spin goes back to like the 60s and 70s. I'm not even sure when it started to be used, but it was an old school wrestling move, and then it kind of faded away in the 90s, and then now it's making a comeback with Tyler Bate. He's making the airplane spin trendy again. That's what he's doing here. Dunne and Bate did a lot of double teaming. They hit a double burning hammer, but Priest was able to kick out. And at one point, they almost won the titles, but we had some interference from Dominic. Referee ended up ejecting Dominic from ringside. And for the finish, Bálor was able to save Damian Priest from being double teamed. And then Priest hit a double South of Heaven choke slam on both Dunne and Bate. And then Bálor was able to pin Dunne, and Judgment Day have retained the tag team titles. Shout out to Michael, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Michael. Says, did WWE send Truth to Austria for a joke? LOL. Oh, yeah. So R-Truth did a video when he said that he was in Austria, which, of course, is a joke, Australia. I don't think they actually sent him to Austria. I just think that that's the joke. You know, he never knows where he's at. He never knows what he's doing. So, you know, that's the comedy there. Shout out to Report Card Radio, Mikey T. I appreciate the comment. We had the Grayson Waller effect, which was for the most part filler. You know, this could have been on an episode of Raw or SmackDown. Again, this was just designed to get several people on the show. Grayson Waller, since he's from Australia, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Rollins is injured still, so you got to get them on the show. This was what this was designed to be. Get these guys on the show, and a couple of noteworthy things did happen. Now, Waller was drinking out of a shoe, which is an Australian thing. He did that with this UFC fighter. I forgot his name. You had Rollins revealing that he is just days from being cleared, which I presume that means he will wrestle before WrestleMania, unless they really want to be careful with him and not take any chances. Cody got on the mic. He talked about The Rock, and this was the most noteworthy thing here. He issued a challenge. He wants to go one-on-one with the Great One. And he said it doesn't matter when. He wants a match with The Rock. Now, Rollins said that, yes, they need to cut the head off of the snake, but it's never one-on-one when it comes to the bloodline. And Rollins said that Cody will not be alone in this battle, which tells me that they're doing the tag team match. I mean, they could do the singles match, but they keep building up this idea that Seth Rollins has Cody's back. And I feel like they're going to do the tag match. You know, the whole WrestleMania video package where they got the four of them with the stare down. I think they're doing a tag match at WrestleMania. And that way The Rock doesn't have to commit too much. You know, he's protected in a tag team match. If he doesn't have his cardio up to speed, he can be in a tag match and get by. So, yeah, I'm thinking that, you know, I did see a comment in here in the chat from Anthony, maybe Crown Jewel, but I would think that they would do this before WrestleMania, and really the only option at this point would be night one of WrestleMania. So we'll see what they do. I mean, it's always a possibility Rock will do something at Crown Jewel, but feel like he's going to have a match at WrestleMania. And by the way, Austin Theory was there. He was ripping into Australia. Then he started doing the Rock's catchphrases, and, well, he got beat up. Seth Rollins gave him the curb stomp. So Austin Theory there to get beat up. And Waller just stood there and watched. He didn't even attempt to help his friend. And nothing happened to Waller. So, you know, they knew that Waller was a babyface, and WWE knew better than to have Waller get beat up, because then he might have gotten booed. Or I should say that Cody and Rollins might have gotten booed if they attacked Waller. So no attack on Waller. Theory was there. He took the beating. Next up, the men's Elimination Chamber match. Drew McIntyre, or Drew McInfart, as Adam Pearce once said, versus Randy Orton, versus Bobby Lashley, versus LA Knight. Everybody in the chat say it. Yeah. And Kevin Owens and Logan Paul. Now, a couple funny moments with Owens. Owens was entertaining in this, where Logan would taunt Owens, and Owens started headbutting the plexiglass. And for the entrances, Orton posed on the pod. And then when Orton was in his pod, Knight posed on top of Orton's pod. Drew McIntyre was mocking CM Punk. The crowd was chanting CM Punk, and he even went for a go to sleep, but LA Knight was able to counter. LA Knight was slamming McIntyre's head into the plexiglass. Crowd was going, yeah. Then Kevin Owens came in. Owens got in some offense, and then Bobby Lashley was next. Randy Orton came in after that. And Orton was selling his back during this match, to the point where fans were concerned. Like, people were making comments that Randy Orton re-injure himself. I think Orton's just really good at selling. But then every time I say that, it turns out they were really hurt. He did the draping DDT to Owens on the chamber floor. So he was really selling the impact of that on his back. Logan Paul was doodling on his pod, and he even wrote Kevin sucks. And then when it was his turn to come in, Logan Paul was attacked by Kevin Owens. Owens beat the crap out of him. And then Lashley ended up putting Owens through one of the pods, through the plexiglass, and then he speared Logan into another pod, and the crowd was chanting, "Thank you, Bobby." Now, this is definitely a pattern I noticed on this show, and probably other chamber matches as well. You know who's about to be eliminated because they're getting in all the offense. They're getting their moves in before they're ultimately beat. And that's what happened here. Lashley did the spear through the pod, and then he got hit with McIntyre's Claymore. McIntyre hit a second one, and he pinned Lashley. Bobby Lashley, the first person eliminated from the chamber. No interference from the Final Testament, but there was interference, just not the interference I personally was expecting. Then we had LA Knight hitting not one but two BFTs, one to Randy Orton, one to Drew McIntyre. So again, the pattern, LA Knight gets his moves in when he's about to be eliminated. And sure enough, we had the interference. We had AJ Styles coming in. I guess, you know, when somebody's eliminated from the chamber, they have to open the door. So when they were getting Lashley out of there, AJ Styles came in. I guess he came all the way to Australia just to screw over LA Knight. Pretty much sets up the match for WrestleMania, LA Knight versus AJ Styles, that they've been building up for the past couple months. He hit him with a steel chair, and Kevin Dunne may be gone from WWE, but his spirit lives on. They did the quick camera cuts, every chair shot. cut for everyone. And that is Kevin Dunn's legacy living on, I guess. It is what it is. And sure enough, LA Knight was pinned. The referees got AJ out of there, but the damage was done. And it was easy for McIntyre to get the pin. The This Guy Experience sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, did you notice only one finisher's got the pin with the women's chamber match? Bobby got the F-bomb off. He has bad luck in the chamber. Logan draw a dick pic. I did not notice a dick pic from Logan Paul. I just saw him write Kevin sucks. He was doodling some things. I guess I'll have to go back and watch that. And it was, I like to see some finishes that aren't an actual finishing move. Like it's sometimes interesting and a breath of fresh air when different moves can lead to a pinfall. And it doesn't always have to be that way, and it doesn't always have to be a finisher ending the match, but I do like a little bit of variety with that. Now, Owens was hitting a bunch of big moves. You know what's coming. He was eliminated next. He got beat by the RKO. And then Logan Paul, it was his turn to get in all of his big moves before he got eliminated. He came off the top with a pod, with a crossbody to McIntyre, and then he pulled out his brass knuckles, but got hit by Randy Orton, and he was out. So it was down to Orton and McIntyre, shades of the pandemic, throwback to that. Orton was on the verge of winning. He hit the RKO out of nowhere, but then Logan, who never left the chamber, hit Orton with the brass knucks, and McIntyre got the win. Absolutely no surprise here. McIntyre won. I mean, he was really the only solid option. The most surprising thing about this was Logan and Orton. I feel like that's the WrestleMania match. I thought they were going to do Orton versus Solo Sikoa based off of the Royal Rumble and do a Kevin Owens rematch with Logan. But, the brass knuckles spot here leads me to believe that we are getting Randy Orton versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania, which is very interesting to me. But I mean, Orton was on Logan's podcast not too long ago, and hey, it'll be an entertaining match for sure. I mean, it'll be fun to see Logan go up against a veteran like Randy Orton. David McGinnis sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, David. I appreciate it. It says, Logan Paul should frighten. He's going to change the U.S. Championship into the Prime Energy Drink Champion. That would be funny. Man, people would be pissed, but that would be heel heat. We remember when Daniel Bryan made his title the Planet's title and did that whole deal. That would be entertaining. I would not be totally against that. I mean, it's the U.S. title, not the Intercontinental title. So why not? Logan Paul could rename it the Prime Energy Championship and have the Prime logo with the title. I actually really like that idea. I think that would be entertaining if they did that, and it would piss people off. This was a good chamber match, although I think I might have liked the women's a little bit better. Like I said, this one was well worked, but very predictable. And like I said, it's like the elimination is coming. When the guy is hitting all of his moves, he's going to be the next one out. So I think that's something they should work on. Like, you want everybody to look strong in the match, but this one just followed a pattern to the T so much that it just felt manufactured and didn't feel like something that was authentic, and there was a lack of twists and turns in it, in my opinion. You had AJ interfere, but it was just the different person interfering. Like, I expected interference in this match. I just thought it was going to be the final testament. But both chamber matches were good. I will say that. And we had our main event of the evening, Rhea Ripley getting the main event spot against Nia Jax. And this was also not a surprise, you know. This was a B pay-per-view in Australia. Give the women their spot. They're probably not getting the night one main event. So this is how you give them their moment. This was an opportunity to give the women's match the main event spot. Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. It was a good match. It was like a good TV match, though, on Raw or SmackDown. I would say it was a little above a house show quality match, but still not like at the level of your typical pay-per-view main event. Rhea Ripley got a huge ovation, of course. Nia Jax, very much hated, as you might expect in Rhea Ripley's neck of the woods. And Nia even brought up during the press event that she was born in Australia, but the crowd was like, you're not one of us. And she made it very clear she's not one of them. So she was very much the heel in this one. And Rhea was the babyface. Nia dominated a good part of the match. And Rhea's family was at ringside. And Nia was taunting them as she worked over Rhea Ripley. Rhea struggled to get into it, but eventually she started to make a comeback. She came off the top with a big frog splash, paying tribute to Eddie Guerrero. Nia kicked out. And then Rhea, she kept going for the riptide. She failed on 2 occasions, and then she was sent to the outside of the ring. Nia gave Rhea a Samoan drop on the announce table. And this was actually the most brutal thing, I think, on the entire show, more than any of the spots in the chamber matches, because it looked like Nia was slammed onto like one of the monitors. And typically when wrestlers are out there and they're doing the announce table spots, they take off the monitors. They did not do that this time, and Rhea got slammed right on the monitor. And I'm like, that looked like that hurt more than anything else on this entire show. And then the table did not break, so Nia jumped off the chair at ringside and ended up putting Rhea through the announce table. She got it back in the ring. She hit her big finisher, the Annihilator. Rhea Ripley kicked out. She kicked out of the big move, and I felt like it actually didn't get the reaction I was expecting. There was a comment here about Rhea Ripley not getting the huge ovation. She did get a big reaction, but I almost felt like the crowd liked Tiffany Stratton more than Rhea Ripley. And there wasn't a huge reaction when Rhea kicked out of that Annihilator. You would think that the place would erupt for that. Maybe it's just that they didn't buy that the match was going to end, you know, kind of like Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. Like when Lesnar hit the F5, people are like, oh yeah, whatever, Taker's kicking out. And then they were shocked when he didn't kick out. So anyways, Nia went up to the top. Rhea caught her, delivered a big superplex. And then finally on the 3rd attempt, she hit the riptide and got the 1-2-3 victory. The pyro went off. Big celebration for Rhea Ripley. Her and Cody got pyro on this show. This guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, where was mommy's boyfriend, Buddy Matthews? Elimination Chamber was a B+ show. I know he did tweet something on X. He was probably just chilling. Maybe he was there somewhere in Australia. I don't know, but the dude's working for AEW, so maybe the schedule did not allow for that to happen. But if he's there, somebody let me know. Like, send me a picture or something if there's any proof that he was there. I'm not sure if he was actually in Perth for this event or not. I know Malachi Black has a match for Collision, so yeah, Buddy might be busy in the States. I do want to say this too. I liked some of the visuals on the show. Like, I love the wrestling shows in the stadium when it starts during the day and ends at night. It's just a cool vibe, in my opinion. Like, I think back to WrestleMania 3 when that was done. And I like how they kept showing the sunset, and they had the shot of the skyline with the sun setting. I mean, they had some great shots on the show. And, you know, this was a filler pay-per-view, and they did have a lot of video packages showing off Perth. You know, it is what it is. Like, they paid a lot of money for this event, and WWE made sure to promote Perth as a vacation destination. They kept showing all these footages, clips of them in caves and with all the animals and stuff. Like, it was all part of the deal. You know, WWE got paid a lot of money for this show, and it was an advertisement for Perth. Go to Perth, visit Perth, and enjoy the ocean, and enjoy the caves and the koalas and the kangaroos and all that stuff. That's what it was. I mean, that was the focal point here, to promote Perth. Show was fine. Did you need to get up early in the morning in the United States to watch it? No. You didn't really miss anything too significant where you'd be kicking yourself. Oh my God, I can't believe I missed the Elimination Chamber live. I missed a huge moment. There was none of that. It was a solid premium live event. WWE got paid a lot of money to be there. They did the advertising for Perth. They did the chamber matches because it's Elimination Chamber. That's the February pay-per-view. They set up some WrestleMania matches. It was predictable, but it was a good show. Good wrestling, not something you have to go out of your way to watch. I give it a B-. I think a B- is fair. It wasn't a great show, but it wasn't bad either. I did enjoy some parts of it. It was predictable, which hurt a little bit. But ultimately, these were the results that we needed going into WrestleMania. You know, Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley. I called this months ago. I know not everybody wants to see Becky in that spot. They want to see somebody new. But that's like legitimately the biggest women's match WWE can do right now. So that had to happen. Drew McIntyre winning was the right call. You know, he's the guy to do it with CM Punk out. Judgment Day's not losing the titles. You know, they could have done maybe one or two other matches that might have had more of an impact, but they didn't. They gave the matches on this show a lot of time, though. Had some filler. Shout out to the Mr. Callum podcast. Thank you for that. Sent in an $8 super chat. Says, just a little sad as I knew what it could have been. Owen's LA Knight spot was funny. Rhea got the biggest pop after Cody, 7 out of 10. Bigger than Tiffany? Because I on TV, it felt like Tiffany got the biggest reaction of all the women. And yeah, Cody was way over. Song. And I'd say Dominic probably got the most heat. Am I here? Okay, my screen went black for a minute. Might be having some technical issues, but we're wrapping up here. Thank you, Mr. Callum Podcast, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in early. It is 9:10 a.m. Eastern time. And now it's time for breakfast or an early lunch. I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but yeah, time to get on with the rest of the day. It's very, very bizarre. Much love and appreciation to you all. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com. You can read all the detailed results over on NoDQ, and we will be back for the NoDQ review Sunday night to discuss the fallout from Elimination Chamber and what's going on with AEW heading into Revolution. That is next weekend. We got Revolution coming up. Stay tuned for that. Talk to you all soon. Buy a shirt, NoDQ.com/merch, and say yes to NoDQ.com. I will see you all next time.